Marcus Hayes pressed his palm against the ventilation grate, feeling the subtle vibration that didn't match the HVAC system's rhythm. His flashlight beam caught something that made his breath hitch, a small handprint in the dust, 4 fingers instead of 5, and too small to be human. The Westfield Galleria had reported missing food inventory for 6 months. Management blamed staff theft. Marcus knew better. 20 years of night security taught him to trust patterns, and these patterns were wrong. Packages disappeared from storage rooms that stayed locked. Surveillance footage showed nothing but occasional flickers, static bursts lasting exactly 3 seconds. He knelt beside the maintenance corridor's vent shaft, examining scratches around the screws. Fresh marks. Something had opened this recently, and whatever it was, understood tools. The mall's fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting long shadows across the empty corridor. Marcus checked his watch. 2:47 a.m. The cleaning crew had left an hour ago. He was alone. Or he thought he was. A soft sound echoed through the vent, not mechanical, not wind. A whisper. Then silence so complete it felt deliberate. Marcus's radio crackled. "Hayes, you copy? Got a motion sensor ping in the food court, Section G." He pressed the transmit button. Copy. Probably another raccoon. Heading there now. But raccoons didn't unscrew vent covers from the inside. The food court sprawled before him, chairs stacked on tables like skeletal sentries. His flashlight swept across the smoothie bar, past the abandoned pizza counter, toward the sensor's location. Nothing moved. Then he saw it. A small figure darting behind the Japanese grill station, moving with liquid grace that seemed too fluid for a child. Marcus's training kicked in. He didn't shout or chase. He stood perfectly still and waited. Silence stretched for 90 seconds.
A head emerged from behind the counter.
Even in the darkness, Marcus saw features that made his heart hammer. Eyes too large and luminous, skin with a faint silver sheen, ears that tapered to gentle points, a child maybe 6 years old by human standards, wearing clothes that looked handmade from mall merchandise tags and food service napkins. The child froze, staring at him with an intelligence that seemed ancient, despite its young face. Marcus slowly lowered his flashlight, angling it toward the floor to reduce the glare. He sat down cross-legged, making himself smaller, less threatening. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The child tilted its head, processing his words. Then it made a sound, not quite language, but musical and complex. Another whisper answered from the vents above. There were more of them. Marcus kept his voice steady. "Are you hungry?" The child didn't respond, but its eyes flicked toward the darkened subway counter. Marcus noticed scratches on its hands, healed but numerous. 6 months living in ventilation shafts. 6 months stealing food to survive. "How many of you are there?" he asked. The child raised 3 fingers, then one more. 4. Marcus's mind raced through protocols. Call immigration? These weren't immigrants. Call police? And tell them what? That alien children were living in his mall? Call federal authorities? He'd seen enough movies to know how that ended. Labs. Experiments. Separation. The child took a tentative step forward, and Marcus saw it was limping. "You're hurt," he said. Another sound from the vents. Urgent. Warning. The child looked up, torn between fear and need. It lifted its pant leg slightly, revealing a gash across its calf, infected and poorly bandaged with stolen first aid supplies. Marcus made a decision that would change everything. "I have medical supplies in my office," he said, pointing toward the security station. "I can help." The child studied him with those impossibly large eyes, weighing trust against survival. Finally, it nodded once. As Marcus stood slowly, 3 more children emerged from shadows he hadn't realized existed. 2 looked younger, clinging to the oldest. A girl maybe 10 years old with the same luminous eyes and silver-sheen skin. The 4th was the smallest, barely toddler-aged, carrying a stuffed animal stolen from the toy store, its tag still attached. They moved together like a unit, protected and synchronized. The oldest girl positioned herself between Marcus and the younger ones. Her eyes held steel beneath their alien beauty. A guardian, a survivor, a sister. Marcus gestured toward the security office. "This way." Slowly, they followed, silent as ghosts, leaving no footprints despite their physical presence. As they passed beneath the skylight, moonlight caught their features, and Marcus saw something in their expressions he recognized. Exhaustion, fear, and desperate hope. The security office door clicked shut behind them. Marcus pulled his first aid kit from the bottom drawer while the children clustered near the exit, ready to bolt. The youngest started crying softly, a sound remarkably similar to human tears but with a harmonic quality that resonated in Marcus's chest. It's okay, he repeated, opening antiseptic and bandages. I'm going to help. The injured child stepped forward, trembling. As Marcus cleaned the wound, he noticed markings on its skin, patterns that looked biological rather than decorative, pulsing faintly with bioluminescence. Behind him, his computer monitor displayed the mall's surveillance system. 47 cameras. Zero evidence of what was happening in this room. These children were invisible to technology, but real to human eyes, and Marcus Hayes, night security guard with a mortgage and a daughter in college, had just become their only hope for survival. Morning shift started in 4 hours. Management would arrive in 5. He had to make choices that would either save these children or doom them. The oldest girl stepped forward and spoke in halting, accented English. Please.
They come soon. They hunt us.
Marcus felt ice spread through his veins. Who? Who's hunting you? She pointed upward, toward the stars hidden beyond the mall's ceiling. Our people, she whispered. We ran. We hide. But they find. Always they find. The motion sensor in Section G pinged again, then Section B. Then the main entrance. Someone was in the mall, and they weren't human. Marcus reached for his radio, then stopped. Whatever was coming, calling for backup, would only bring more witnesses to something the world wasn't ready to see. He looked at the children, terrified, injured, desperate, and made his choice. He locked the office door, dimmed the lights, and pulled the oldest girl aside. Tell me everything, he said, and tell me fast. Outside, footsteps echoed through the empty mall, heavy, purposeful, and moving with predatory precision toward the food court. The hunt had begun. Marcus watched through the security monitor as 3 figures appeared on camera, their forms flickering like the static bursts he'd seen before. They wore dark clothing that seemed to absorb light, and they moved with military precision. Each carried devices that resembled weapons but functioned like scanners, sweeping across surfaces with pulsing blue light. The oldest girl gripped his arm, her fingers surprisingly strong. Trackers, she whispered. They follow heat, breath, blood. Marcus killed the office lights completely, plunging them into darkness broken only by the monitor's glow. The children huddled together, the smallest burying its face against the eldest's shoulder. He could feel their terror like a physical weight. One tracker stopped directly in front of the security office on the monitor, tilting its head as if listening. Marcus held his breath, and the children went absolutely still, not just quiet, but unnaturally motionless, as if they could stop their heartbeats through will alone. The tracker moved on. Marcus exhaled slowly. How long have they been looking for you? Since we ran, the girl said. 10 months. We escaped ship during Earth observation. They think we contaminate mission. Want us removed? Marcus repeated, understanding the euphemism. She nodded gravely. We hide many places. Bus station, library, park. But they always find. We come here because, she gestured at the walls, metal and building confuses their scanning. We learn to live in vents, to be invisible. For 6 months, these children had survived through ingenuity and desperation, stealing food, treating their own injuries, staying one step ahead of hunters who wanted them dead for the crime of being seen. The injured child whimpered softly. Marcus finished bandaging the wound, his hand steady despite the adrenaline flooding his system. The antiseptic would help, but the gash needed proper medical attention, stitches, antibiotics, care he couldn't provide. On the monitor, the trackers regrouped near the food court. One gestured toward the upper levels, and they split up, moving with practiced efficiency. They were conducting a systematic search, closing in through elimination. Marcus pulled up the mall's infrastructure schematics on his computer. Ventilation systems, loading docks, emergency exits, all monitored, all visible. But there was one space the security system didn't cover because it wasn't technically part of the mall. The old cinema, he said. The oldest girl looked confused. This mall used to have a movie theater, Marcus explained, fingers flying across the keyboard. Shut down 5 years ago. Entrance is sealed, but the building's still there, attached through the maintenance sublevel. Security was supposed to monitor it, but management cut costs. No cameras, no sensors, no patrols. He pulled out his keyring, searching for the master access key he'd kept despite protocols saying it should have been returned. How do we get there? The girl asked. Marcus looked at the monitor. The trackers were 2 floors up now, working methodically downward. They had maybe 20 minutes before the sweep reached the security offices. Through the vents, he said, ironically. The children exchanged glances, some unspoken communication passing between them. The oldest nodded. Can carry small one? she said, gesturing to the toddler. But wounded, one slow. Marcus looked at the injured child, pale, feverish, trembling. I'll carry him. They see you, the girl protested. They know you help. They hurt you. Let me worry about that. He grabbed his emergency pack, flashlight, water, first aid supplies, and stuffed it into a backpack. His radio crackled with static, then cleared. Hayes, you still in the food court? I'm getting weird readings on the backup system. It was Rodriguez, the other night guard, starting his rounds on the opposite side of the mall. Marcus hesitated, then made another choice that couldn't be undone. Rodriguez, I need you to evacuate the building. Possible gas leak in the HVAC system. I'm shutting down ventilation and calling it in.
A pause.
I don't smell anything. It's odorless compound from the cleaning supplies. Protocol says clear the building first, investigate second. I need you outside. Now. Another pause. Longer. Rodriguez was thinking, weighing protocol against instinct. Copy that. But Hayes, are you okay? You sound off. I'm fine. Just following procedure. Clear the building, Rodriguez. Marcus switched off his radio and looked at the children. We move fast and quiet. Stay behind me. Watch where I step. And if I tell you to run, you run. The oldest girl squared her shoulders. We together. We all run or none run. He wanted to argue but recognized the futility. These children had survived 10 months through loyalty to each other. They wouldn't abandon that now. Marcus lifted the injured child carefully, feeling how light the boy was. Too light, half-starved despite 6 months of stolen food. The child wrapped thin arms around his neck, trembling but silent. Okay, Marcus whispered. Let's go. He unlocked the office door, checking the corridor through the crack. Empty. The trackers were still upward, giving them a narrow window. He gestured, and the children flowed out like water, moving with that eerie silence. They reached the maintenance sublevel access through a staff-only stairwell. The door's hinges creaked, too loud in the empty mall. Marcus froze, listening. Footsteps above, but not close. The sublevel was a maze of pipes, electrical conduits, and forgotten storage. Emergency lighting cast everything in sickly yellow. Marcus navigated by memory, leading them deeper into the bowels of the building where concrete gave way to older construction, remnants of the mall's original 1980s structure. The cinema access door was hidden behind a false wall panel sealed with rusty chains. Marcus used his multi-tool to cut through corrosion weakened by decades. The chains fell with a dull clatter that echoed. Above them, the footsteps stopped. They heard, the oldest girl whispered. Marcus wrenched the door open. Darkness yawned beyond, smelling of mildew and decay. Inside, now. The children slipped through. Marcus followed, pulling the door closed as footsteps thundered down the stairwell. He threw the chains back across, hoping the darkness would hide the cut marks. They were in a narrow service corridor, walls pressing close. The injured child's breathing was ragged against Marcus's ear, fever-hot and labored. He moved by touch, one hand on the wall, the other supporting the boy. Behind them, the door rattled, testing. Then silence. Marcus kept moving, counting steps, remembering the layout from 5 years ago when he'd helped with the cinema closure. 50 steps forward, turn right, another 30 steps, then his hand found the theater entrance. The door opened into vast darkness. The old cinema lobby sprawled before them. Carpet rotted, walls stained, concession counters stripped bare. But it was shelter. It was hidden. It was time. Marcus set the injured child down gently on an old bench. The boy immediately curled up, shaking. The other children surrounded him, their bodies providing warmth. "How did you end up on that ship?" Marcus asked quietly, pulling out water bottles from his pack. The oldest girl accepted one, distributing sips to the younger ones before drinking herself. Our planet dying, resources gone. Adults say we explore, find new homes, but really, they scout for taking. Earth has what they need. Marcus felt cold settle in his stomach. Invasion? Observation first. Then deciding. We children not supposed to see planning. We hear wrong conversation. They catch us listening. We run. She looked down. 2 of us made it to escape pod. 6 started. 4 arrived. The weight of that loss sat heavy in the darkness. "The tracking technology they're using," Marcus said. "Can it find you in here?" She shook her head. "Old building, much metal, many walls." Confused their sensors. "Why we stay mall so long?" "But they adapt, get better at finding." "Time runs out." The youngest child started crying again, and the oldest pulled them close, making soothing sounds that transcended language. Marcus checked his phone. 3:47 a.m. Morning shift in 2 hours. He couldn't hide 4 alien children in an abandoned cinema indefinitely, but he couldn't turn them over to trackers who wanted them dead, and he couldn't call authorities who would either disbelieve him or dissect the children in the name of science. He was one security guard with no plan and no options. There has to be someone, he said. Someone on Earth who could help. Scientists who aren't government. The girl looked at him with ancient eyes. You believe in good people still? I have to, Marcus said simply. She considered this, then nodded slowly. Our ship leaves in 3 days. After that, they stop searching. Declare us dead. Mission continues without us. 3 days, Marcus repeated. We hide you for 3 days and they leave? If we stay hidden. If they not find. If we survive. 3 days, 72 hours. It seemed simultaneously impossible and achievable. The door they'd come through rattled again, harder this time. Then the sound of chains being cut with something far more efficient than Marcus's multi-tool. They were coming in. Marcus stood positioning himself between the children and the door. His flashlight felt pathetically inadequate against whatever technology those trackers possessed. But he held it steady. Get behind the concession counter, he whispered. Hide in the storage room. There's a loading dock exit in the back. I saw it during closure. If they get past me, you run for that door and keep running. You come too, the oldest girl insisted. Someone has to slow them down. She grabbed his arm, her grip fierce. You risk much for us already. You have family. You have life. Why you do this? Marcus thought of his daughter. Bright, kind, studying marine biology because she wanted to help protect species from extinction. He thought of the choices that defined a person, the moments where doing nothing became complicity. Because it's right, he said. Now hide. The children disappeared into shadows, moving with practiced silence. Marcus positioned himself in the center of the lobby, flashlight aimed at the entrance, trying to look more confident than he felt. The door burst open. 3 figures entered, their forms clearer now without the camera's distortion. They looked humanoid but moved wrong, joints bending at unusual angles, heads turning with mechanical precision. Their weapons, scanners, pulsed with blue light that swept across the lobby like searchlights. The lead tracker stopped when the light hit Marcus. They stared at each other across the ruined lobby, human and alien, separated by species but united in purpose. The tracker's face was obscured by dark material, but Marcus felt the assessment happening. Threat level, risk analysis, decision-making. Then the tracker spoke, voice modulated through technology but understandable. You hide contaminated juveniles. This is interference. Step aside. Marcus didn't move. They're scared and hurt, and they haven't done anything wrong. They possess classified knowledge. They cannot remain among your population.
Retrieval is necessary.
Retrieval, Marcus repeated, tasting the word's bitter meaning. You mean killing? We mean neutralizing potential interference with observation protocols? They're children, Marcus said again, putting every ounce of conviction into the words. Whatever they heard, whatever they know, they're still just children. The tracker's weapon shifted, no longer scanning but targeting. The blue light centered on Marcus's chest. You are civilian security personnel. You have family designation, 1 juvenile offspring, female university attendance. You have financial obligations. You have life continuation potential. Stand aside. Do not sacrifice yourself for contaminated assets. They'd researched him. They knew about his daughter, his life, his vulnerabilities. Marcus kept his ground. I have a daughter, he agreed, and I want to live in a world where she never has to make this choice, where she can look at people, any people, who need help and not have to calculate the cost first. So no. I'm not standing aside. The tracker's head tilted. Processing, calculating. The weapon remained aimed at Marcus's chest. Behind him, hidden in darkness, 4 children held their breath. The standoff stretched, tension coiling tighter with each heartbeat. Then, something unexpected happened. The tracker lowered its weapon slightly, and when it spoke again, the modulated voice carried something that might have been confusion or might have been respect. You risk termination for beings not of your species. This is not logical human behavior. Maybe not, Marcus said, but it's the right thing to do. The tracker stood motionless for 3 full seconds. Then it raised its hand, signaling to the others. They moved to flank positions, weapons still ready but not actively targeting. You cannot hide them permanently, the tracker said. You possess insufficient resources. They require medical intervention. One of them exhibits infection markers. They require sustenance, shelter, protection. You cannot provide adequately. I'll find a way. Improbable. You are one individual against systematic recovery operations. Marcus's mind raced, searching for arguments, for leverage, for anything that could turn this situation into something other than inevitable tragedy. Then he remembered the girl's words. 3 days until the ship departed. What happens if you return without them, he asked. If they just disappear? The tracker's posture shifted slightly. Mission continues. Juveniles are declared casualties of escape attempt. Investigation closes, resources redirect to primary objectives. So if they simply vanish, completely without trace, your mission isn't compromised? A longer pause. Correct. Retrieval is preferred. Confirmed termination is acceptable. Disappearance with high probability of death is sufficient. Marcus felt pieces clicking into place. And if I can guarantee they disappear completely, no trace, no possibility of them revealing anything, would that satisfy your protocols? The tracker's head tilted again, that processing gesture. Explain methodology. Marcus took a breath, the lie forming even as he spoke it. There's a facility, underground, off-grid. Scientists who study unexplained phenomena, completely independent from government. They take cases nobody else will touch. I can get these children there, and they'll vanish into a system so secret even your technology can't find them. It was complete fiction. Marcus had no such contacts, no such facility, no such plan. But he delivered it with the conviction of 20 years reading people, of knowing when confidence mattered more than truth. The tracker stood silent, and Marcus could almost hear whatever internal processing was happening. Probability calculations, risk assessments, protocol compliance. Finally, if juveniles disappear within this operational cycle, retrieval ceases. If they remain visible, retrieval resumes. This is your acceptable outcome? Yes. You understand the stakes for failure. If they are seen, if they speak, if they compromise observation protocols, consequences extend beyond juveniles. Your population faces accelerated contact timeline, unprepared for introduction to broader galactic context. Marcus felt the weight of that threat. These trackers weren't just hunting for children. They were protecting a larger operation. Possibly the observation the girl had mentioned, possibly first contact, possibly something humanity wasn't ready to face. I understand, he said. The tracker made a gesture, and the flanking figures lowered their weapons. You have 72 hours, after which our vessel departs. If juveniles remain undetected until departure, search concludes. If they surface, they won't. The tracker moved closer, and Marcus forced himself not to retreat. This close, he could see features beneath the obscuring material. Eyes that reflected light like an animal's, skin texture that seemed more scaled than smooth. You are unusual, human, the tracker said quietly. Most of your species chooses self-preservation over alien welfare. This is documented behavioral norm. Maybe I'm not most humans. Perhaps. The tracker stepped back. 72 hours, Marcus Hayes. Make them disappear. The three figures withdrew, moving with that unnatural grace. At the door, the leader paused. Your juvenile offspring? She studies ocean biology? Marcus's heart clenched. Yes. Your oceans contain life forms not yet documented by your science. She will make interesting discoveries. Ensure she has opportunity to do so. It took a moment for Marcus to parse the meaning, a warning and a promise. Keep the children hidden, and his daughter stays safe. Fail, and consequences ripple outward. I understand, Marcus said. The trackers left, the door closing behind them with a heavy thud that echoed through the empty cinema. Marcus stood frozen for 30 seconds, adrenaline crash hitting him like a physical blow. His hands started shaking. His knees felt weak. He'd just bluffed alien hunters with technology decades beyond human understanding, and somehow, impossibly, it had worked. They gone? The oldest girl emerged from hiding, the other children clustering around her. For now, Marcus said, his voice unsteady, we have 3 days. They'll stop searching after their ship leaves, but only if you stay completely hidden. The girl studied him with those luminous eyes.
You lie to them.
No scientists, no disappearing. Marcus nodded slowly. I lied. Why they believe? Because sometimes believing a lie is easier than dealing with complications. They want you gone, Dead or vanished, doesn't matter as long as their mission continues. I gave them an out that satisfied their protocols. But now what we do? 3 days? Then what? Marcus looked at the 4 children, exhausted, injured, terrified, but alive. He'd bought them time, but time alone wouldn't save them. He needed an actual plan, actual help, actual hope. He pulled out his phone, staring at the screen. No signal in the old cinema's depths, but memory showed him possibilities. His daughter had mentioned a professor once, someone studying xenobiology as a theoretical science, someone who'd published papers about potential first contact scenarios. Sarah Chen, University of California, San Diego, a woman whose career existed on the fringe of respectability, who asked questions academia dismissed as fantasy. Maybe she'd think he was insane. Maybe she'd help anyway. I need to make a call, Marcus said. But first we need to treat that infection properly, get you all fed, and figure out how to keep you hidden for 3 days in a building that's about to have morning crews all over it. The oldest girl looked at him with something that might have been the beginning of trust.
You help us?
If we survive, we remember Marcus Hayes. Let's focus on the surviving part first. He lifted the injured child again, feeling the fever burning through thin clothing. It seemed like forever in no time at all. As they moved deeper into the abandoned cinema, Marcus made mental lists: medical supplies, food, water, communication, plans within backup plans. He was one security guard who'd just become responsible for 4 alien lives, and possibly humanity's first real contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. The weight should have crushed him. Instead, he felt strangely calm. He'd made his choice, and whether it led to triumph or disaster, he'd own it completely. Behind them, in the maintenance sublevel, tracker technology swept one final time through empty corridors, finding nothing. The blue light flickered, pulsed, and went dark. The search had officially ended, but Marcus Hayes' real work was just beginning. He settled the children in the old projection room, a space within a space that offered multiple escape routes and thick walls. While they huddled together for warmth, Marcus slipped back toward the exit, phone ready for when he reached signal range. Dawn was 3 hours away. The world was about to wake up, unaware that 4 alien children were hiding in an abandoned cinema, that hunters had walked through a shopping mall, that everything humanity believed about being alone in the universe had been proved false in the span of one night. Marcus looked back at the children one last time before heading for the surface. The youngest had fallen asleep, tucked against the oldest shoulder. The injured boy's breathing had evened out slightly, the fever flush fading as the antibiotics began working. They looked so small, so fragile, so completely dependent on his ability to follow through. He thought of his daughter, of the ocean discoveries waiting in her future. He thought of choices made in darkness that defined who people really were. He thought of 4 children who'd lost everything but each other and somehow found one security guard willing to risk everything. The weight pressed down, but Marcus stood steady beneath it. 3 days to find sanctuary. 3 days to make good on a lie. 3 days to save 4 lives that the universe had already written off. Marcus Hayes climbed the stairs toward the surface, toward dawn, toward whatever came next. And behind him, in the darkness of an abandoned cinema, 4 alien children slept, safe, hidden, and breathing. For now, it was enough. For now, they survived. For now, there was still hope that somewhere in this vast, complicated world, someone would help them find a way home.